Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realnesss with 3S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here with Mel D to talk about the premiere of the Traitors USA Season 3. Let battle commence. How are you doing, Mel? And are you excited about this season or what?
Chantele, do you understand how much strength it took for me not to continue watching those episodes today?
Yeah.
I feel like I should get an award or something for that because it was such a good premiere. I'm at my office right now. I have not been able to concentrate at all at this time that I can watch episode 2. Let's go.
One thing that I thought was good, just for the fact that so how we're going to be doing these recaps, we're going to recap episode 1, we're going to watch episode 2, and then we're going to come back an hour after and recap episode 2, and then the same thing for episode 3. So we do not know what has happened in the next 2 episodes as of yet.
Please don't spoil it for us.
Please don't spoil. Don't spoil. I don't want to know anything. Don't want to know who goes home. Nothing. We're still spoiled, we'll say.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have the same as you. I felt that it was a complete episode. So I felt satisfied with leaving it at the end. Yes, anticipation to, tune in and watch the next episode. But it actually had a completed ending, which I thought was good. Because usually it's who's coming into breakfast, a little bit more in that way, where you're like, okay, just tell me. But I feel like it was a complete episode comparatively to how it usually ends.
I think the problem is that it was so satisfying. It was a very satisfying ending, but I'm it was so good that I want to watch another one. You know what I mean? It didn't leave us on a huge cliffhanger, a little mini one, but it definitely left me craving for more. I need to know who's there. I need to know what happens. I'm ready to watch the season. So
Glenda won't spoil anything, but it's so good.
We are set. We are here for it.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a good season. I'm excited for the recaps. It looks like we might be able to get some exit press coverage. So we are working on that. If there's anybody specific that you guys really want to see, please let us know as we go through the season, because we might not be able to do everyone, but if there's a large demand, we can maybe push towards certain characters as they leave the manor. So just to let you guys know.
Yay! About it.
So sorry, you're going to see my fingers pointing around because I'm doing this recap on my iPad. So if you hear any clicking, I am sorry, but I am making do in Mexico. Hello, everyone. Yes, we are so happy that Traitors is back.
Yes.
I think that they really knocked it out of the park with this premiere. I felt it was opulent. It was treacherous, as Alan says, murder, treachery, secrets, and lies. I felt it had all of it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how they were going to outdo some of the other seasons, but I think that they did. I think that they really outdid themselves.
I think this one's going to be one I mean, again, I've only seen episode 1, but it's already feeling like it's going to be a record of a season. My light just flickered. I'm is this a sign? Is this the universe? I really do think it's going to be a record-breaking season because the cast alone, can we talk cast? Last season, I loved, but I really did feel like a lot of people last season were very showy. It felt performative. This season, I think, regardless of real reality show people or not, they're here to play, and it feels like a genuine game, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does feel like a genuine game, and it started out right away, with just people speculating and talking, and it's not taking it's not slowly starting. It's really amped up, I would say, from the get-go, which is super fun. Super fun. Okay, so let's talk about this episode because we're going to kind of get through it pretty quickly so that we can go and watch episode 2 because we are waiting to do so. Okay, so I loved how expensive the opening looked with everybody coming in the G-Wagons and I just how did you feel watching the entrance? Because you had the same experience of coming onto the manor. How'd you like seeing them in their G-Wagons?
Every time, every premiere, every single time, there is not one season, one version that I have watched where I didn't get butterflies in my stomach watching the opening. I'm excited for the contestants and what they're going to get into. I'm excited to see the twists. I want to see people interact and meet each other. I think that's really cool. So excited is the vibe I'm bringing to today for that episode. It was just good.
So you didn't know many people necessarily coming onto this season. So who did you know? Well, I guess we'll say.
I knew more than I realized.
Okay.
So I do know Bob Harper from Biggest Loser. Is it Nikki, the wrestler?
Yeah.
I remember her. I think she had a show. So like not necessarily from wrestling, but I remember like watching her on TV before.
She's the
Chriselle.
identical twin sister. So
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do remember her. I remember Chriselle from
Selling Sunset.
Yeah, the Netflix. And I mean, I'm a realtor, so like I've seen Selling Sunset. Who else did I know? I knew both Big Brother players, obviously. I'm obsessed with both of them. I knew Boston Rob, but not from Survivor. I knew him from Deal or No Deal Island.
I can't even deal with you.
I know.
Boston Rob made me love strategy. Like I had a big crush on him in his original season 4 of Survivor. And I've been following him and his relationship since. So you don't even know anything about really Boston Rob's origin story?
I know a little bit like through the grapevine, and I just started watching Survivor this year. Well, last year technically, but yeah, it's embarrassing to say. As a reality TV fan, it's very embarrassing. I'm ashamed of it. But I do know a little bit, like he met his wife on the show, didn't he? And he like
okay, so I'll give you a little bit of backstory about Boston Rob. So he was on season 4, like I said. He didn't even make the merge. Like he kind of made it to mergatory. He didn't vote for the season, but he made a big impact. He was the first person that was kind of using strategy. He wasn't just, voting off the weak part. Like he was realizing that he could take the game in his hands and potentially win. So he went on All Stars, and All Stars. So my boss, Rob Sesternino,
other Rob Survivor.
Yes, the Rob that does suck, I guess, and that's the Rob that doesn't suck. So my Rob was also on All Stars. He got voted off, I think, 3rd, and so Amber was on season. Oh boy, what season was she on? 2, I think, of Survivor. 2 or 3, I think 2. She was on All Stars as well, and they were on the same tribe, but then there was a tribe swap, but they were already just getting really close. Like they really, really liked each other. Then this whole big thing happened with him and this guy Lex, because Lex was supposed to protect Amber when there was this tribe swap, and when they came back together, Boston Rob didn't protect Lex and got him voted out. But he was still getting close with Amber. They won a prize where they got to watch like a movie at night. They won a car, and they're watching movies in the backseat of a pickup truck, I think it was, or a car. I can't remember exactly. And we presume that they might have done some premarital cuddling, we'll say.
They got to know each other a little bit more intimately, you mean? Yeah, I got
it.
Got it.
And then that was at the time where the conclusion of the season did not happen until after most of the episode aired.
Right.
All the episodes aired, and so they'd have like the reunion back in usually, I guess, in New York. And she at the reunion when they find out who's going to win, him and Amber were in the final 3 or final 2. I think it was final 2 at that time. And she ended up winning the game. He came in second, and he proposed to her at the finale.
I think I did hear about that. That's really freaking cool.
So they still are together. They competed on The Amazing Race 2 times. They had a show about their marriage, so they televised their wedding. Sorry. Okay. And now they have 4 girls together, and so they really are like the original Survivor couple family. Like everything about their life right now is from Survivor.
That's so wild. Like, how cool is that?
That's kind of a story that I want. So
yes, let's get you on Traitors Canada, and that's your this is happening. Let's do this for next season. But that's off topic. Traitors Canada is off topic. But yeah, who else am I excited about? Okay, so like Britney Spears' husband. I knew who he was because I'm a Britney fan. But yeah, I can't really think of any off top. But yeah, there were a lot more that I knew than I realized originally. So it's just the Survivor players that I weren't familiar with, and Housewives.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be kicked off this podcast, but yeah, that's where we are.
So there was a few cars that were, grouped together. So one car had Chanel, Wells, Robin, and Sam. So I guess you're not a Bachelor or Bachelorette fan either.
I don't like Bachelorette.
Okay. But I did.
There's a lot of TV. There's a lot of TV out there.
Do Do better. Okay, do better.
I'm working on it. I will. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit my job, and I'll just watch.
So what about Dorinda? So we get introduced to Dorinda. She
Mhm.
wants to be, at home she's the lady of the manor, but here she's going to be leaving queen of the castle.
I love that.
That was our first introduction to Dorinda. Are we liking her?
Yeah, I liked her. I thought that she was fun, but I liked her more when she started to kind of spiral and get mad at everybody later.
She is queen of the spiral.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Quite nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm honestly like, I'm wondering, I don't know if she'll get murdered because I feel like she's kicking up such a fuss that like she's going to make herself a target.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't know that the way, maybe that's the right way to approach the game. I don't know. At this point, I don't even know how to play Traitors. Like, let's be real. Like, there's so many different ways that you can play this game. But yeah, I don't know. Her spiral is going to be fun to watch.
Thomas says, don't feel bad, Mel. He doesn't watch The Bachelor either.
Thank you, Thomas.
I watched them
Not
all.
alone.
Okay, guys, I'm doing the research for you. I thought it was hilarious. So when Robin asked Sam, are you connected to Britney Spears? He's like, yeah, she's my ex-wife.
But I'm pretty sure that is like the extent of what he's allowed to talk about. Like, I've heard that there's like a pretty thick NDA that he had to sign just to be able to be on that show. So we might not get any more details about Britney.
Yes, Dolores. Oh, so it's Dreadful Ruby here. Sorry. Yes, I am on vacation. I am in Mexico. So I'm doing this from my hotel room. Yes. Thank you. Just got to be Mexico chic here.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
When Chanel says to him, do you know what Britney watches The Housewives? I love Britney Spears. And he's like, I cannot say. I'm like, why are you here then, Sam?
Literally,
You cannot say if she watches reality TV. Like, that's just so boring.
I honestly think he got picked for being her ex-husband. And then once it came out that he was picked for the show, I did read a little bit that like there was an NDA involved that he wasn't allowed to talk about Britney at all. So I didn't even know if they were going to introduce him as her ex-husband. So I honestly, truly feel that like that's the most he's allowed to say. I think he's not allowed to bring up anything about her other than that.
That's so annoying.
Production was probably rotted. They're probably like, why is this guy here?
Like, well, I mean, he's an easy kind of like, fluff kill. It's like kind of maybe sensationalism, just like getting all these names that like, who cares? Like they're going to be killed, Yeah,
100%.
But
I was surprised. So like so every time we watch this, like we talked about it before, I always put myself in the situation of like, well, if I was here, this is what I think I would do. So I might be jumping ahead, but when they bring out Boston Rob, amazing twist. First of all, I love the fact that like, if you go up and shake Alan's hand, you can pick somebody else to send home and bring Boston Rob in the game. Now I get that that's a danger. Again, I didn't watch his Survivor, but I do know his, what's the word? Like I know his
reputation.
His reputation, right? So like, but I really feel like if I had to be there, and it's probably not the best move, I think I would have shook the hand, got Boston Rob in the game, and then would have been like,
work with him.
Britney, bye Sam, like just to get him out.
Oh, okay.
That's that. I think I would have done that.
I mean, yeah, it would. Well, and knowing with how things go, they're gone but not forgotten. We'll say. Yeah. So it wouldn't be like the worst thing that would happen to
probably would have came back with a vengeance then after. But I don't know. I was just thinking like I was shocked that nobody shook his hand.
I am surprised by that too. I think what the issue is the gamers don't want to necessarily shake the hands because people are already like, oh, they're the gamers. Like they're already going to be plotting and they're going to be sneaky and they're going to be deceptive. And so I think that they don't know who's the traitor yet. So like if they make that decision and then people are like annoyed with them, they already have to and they become a traitor, that they're going to have to do a little bit more extra work to sustain people's good graces. So I think it's just because there was just too many unknown variables at this point. I think that the production knew no one was going to step forward at this like
they had it planned already. Like Boston Rob's not getting flown out to not be on the show. He was going to be there one way or the other, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that I would heavily consider having him on the show because gaining an ally in Boston Rob, I think
100%.
would be more beneficial, likely.
Yeah. And then you could throw out one of your targets. Like forget, that I said I'd throw away Sam, but realistically, you could send a big person home and make an ally out of somebody that has a great reputation on day one. Like, it's not the worst move.
Seeing how this episode goes, that likely that person would not be leaving either, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to comment on Dolores's comment. My conspiracy theory is that they were told not to shake his hand from somebody who was on the Canadian show. Production does not interfere whatsoever with choices in the game. So if they do offer you a twist or a choice or anything like that, it is fully up to the contestants on what they do.
My eyebrows was raised, absolutely, but like for the reasons why I stated before, I think because they didn't know who the traitors were at that point, that it was just too much of an unknown variable.
I also think it was a scary person to bring in. I think it would have been more likely that his hand would have got shook if he had to keep the mask on. If they didn't say that it was Boston Rob, there might have been a more likely person to come forward and be like, well, I can get rid of somebody I know is going to be a threat and roll the dice on who comes in. But I think Boston Rob is scary coming into a game.
And I think they knew that nobody was going to shake his hand. I think that they wanted that. I think the twist was built for nobody to shake his hand.
Yeah.
Like they wanted that.
They don't tell you not to shake it, but yeah, they probably were like, the chances of this happening are very slim, so let's do it this way.
Yeah, like and if it does, it's great.
Exactly. We'll run with it. Yeah, for sure.
I love Tony. Okay, so you don't know Tony's reputation either. He has won Survivor twice. Okay, yeah. He won Winners at War. The all-winner season of Survivor, Tony won his second game. And so I'm not necessarily a Tony fan, but he is a very good player, and he's able to get people on his side. He's able to blindside people. He's able to find idle. Like, he's just very good at the game. Not my favorite style of player, but I can't deny that he is very good.
So am I going to love him? Because I already like him from this episode.
I mean, you love people that are kind of messy and...
Yeah, I love a mess. You don't have to be a good player for me to be like your number one fan, because we like what we see in ourselves, right? We like crazy a little bit. So yeah, I enjoy chaotic energy on these shows. So I was watching and I was like, I think I'm going to like this Tony character. But not that he seems chaotic. He does actually
seem chaotic.
Is he? Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe that's what it is, but yeah.
Well, he's toning it down. He's saying that he's boring. And I love that Dylan Efron surprised me. I love the fact that he has knowledge about Survivor, so he's a fan of these reality shows. He clocks Tony and says, like, no, I don't trust Tony. Like, I don't want to see him in the game, whatever. And I was like, okay, like, I love that he has a little bit of knowledge of competitive reality shows.
Yeah, I think I like him. He gives off good vibes. Now, one thing I didn't like, he got in the chair and in confessional or whatever and said something about like, I'm here to play as like one of the best, like a good faithful, or whatever way he said it. I was like, okay, Dylan, I like you, but like, let's not get twisted. Like, you don't necessarily need to be like, I'm king of the faithful and I'm happy as long as a faithful wins. Like, don't be Peter. You know what I'm saying?
So Lena here agrees with me about Tony, that he wasn't her fave, but he was one of the best to play the game. Absolutely. The fact that he can play twice is insane. Yeah. He invented the spy stack. So he created a like contraption where he was able to spy on his Survivor players as they were going to the well to get water and talking and conspiring. So he definitely
cool.
He will definitely, you know, yes, Tony is slick. Tony is like very, very good at the game. But he says he does well in these games because he's adaptable, observant, and deceptive, which is very true. He is very deceptive, Tony.
I'm excited to see him play.
I guess you didn't watch Reindeer Games.
Oh, come on. Big Brother's the show, right? Like that's the show I've obsessed over. Yes, I did watch Reindeer Games. I absolutely loved it. I was super sad not to see it this year, but I loved Reindeer Games. It was great.
So you know the history between Brittany and Danielle, and
Yeah.
Danielle didn't seem to let it go at all. She's still kind of harboring these feelings with Brittany about the game, and not knowing yet that Brittany is going to be included in the game.
I'm fans of both of these women. Like, I love Danielle Reyes. I love Brittany. I'm excited to see them together. I just hope that Danielle can like push it aside. I mean, it was reindeer games. I know it was only last year, but it's reindeer games. But like Danielle is just like, I get it, because she's ready for a win, right? Like, it's been how many years since she got so close? Like, she needs that win. And last year on reindeer games, Brittany kind of took that away from her. So I understand it, but I really love to see her put that aside, or at least put it in the back, and work together with Brittany in this season, especially where she's kind of got an upper hand anyway. So I really hope that happens.
Definitely two of my faves, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys watch what's it called, Southern Charmed, but this girl Cameron, she's also on The Real World and maybe one episode of the challenge. She reminds me so much of Brittany, and so every time I'm watching Southern Charm, I'm like, oh my god, it's so Brittany Haynes. But yes, Brittany was one of my favorites. I just thought she was so funny. She had such great diary rooms, and so I'm happy to have her on the show. It's weird seeing her and Danielle not being good.
It's so strange, right? Yeah. But I did love her talking to Alan about like, I don't want to be a duck. I want to shoot the duck. Like, that cracked me up. I was like,
so Brittany, how she says it, I want to shoot the duck.
Yeah, she's so funny. So I think we're going to be in for some good commentary with her in the confessionals.
So all the cars come to the manor, everybody exits. There's lots of greeting that's happening, and there's all the masked men standing with their staves, like hitting their staves onto the ground. Very dramatic opening.
Very, very dramatic. Like, they're serious. Like, it's so in character. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're driving up and there's these big statues, and they get there and there's all these people with masks, and like that. It's really cool because they really do submerge you like into this environment, and this becomes your life. And they do that so that you feel heightened emotions, and like, this is what you're in the middle of, and this is real life. So I love watching it because it gets me in there, and I'm on my couch or my treadmill or something, and I feel like I'm there, you know?
Totally. I was like, it really made me want to be on the show, just to like have these experiences. It looks like I feel like I'd have my stomach would be in knots, and like I'd be like so like anxious.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. So Jeremy is kind of upset a little bit with Tony because Tony screwed him over. I can't remember which. I think it might have been Game Changers. I can't remember which season. I think they played twice together, if I'm not mistaken. And Danielle does confront Brittany a little bit, and she cries to her, just basically saying that, I'm upset with what's happened with us. And Brittany is not super sentimental about it. In her confession,
I don't think she's sentimental anyway, though. Brittany's very much like, it's not a big deal. Get over it. You know, like that's her attitude. She's like, listen, I am sorry, but it was a game.
But when she got screwed over by the brigade, she was not that, agreeable and happy about it. So, with her saying that, like, well, I thought Danielle would be able to get over it. She's a gamer. And like, I think that's her just not taking any responsibility, and just like, because that she's going to be hurt if you guys are really good friends and then you get screwed over by a really good friend because of a game for money and you didn't even win. Like, But Danielle believed in Brittany, but now she's going to forgive her, but she's not going to forget.
I loved it. Can't wait to see that pop up.
I guess you don't know anything about Tom Sandoval.
No, but I tell you, like, I'm at the office today, obviously talking about Traitors, and there's people that are in here who are like, wait, is that the one that Tom Sandoval is on? Okay, I'm going to watch that. Like, they're not reality TV people, but I think they might tune in because of him. So I'm eager to see what he brings. He's already a little bit cray with the suspicious eyes and the angry face and like the dirt.
So, but you don't even know his backstory?
Literally nothing about the man.
Oh my God.
I didn't know how to say his last name. So I'm happy you said it.
Okay. I don't know if I can really make this concise. So he was on Vanderpump Rules for 10 years. He was originally dating this girl, Kristen. Jody. Their relationship was kind of ending, and he started seeing this girl Ariana. Ariana and him get together officially after he breaks up with Kristen. They date for 10 years. They live together. She's froze her eggs for him. They have dogs. They live in a house in LA together. Like they're partners. They're life partners. And she was defending him all the time, like, you know, because he's not, in my opinion, he's not a great guy. Like, I can't stand him, to be honest. But she was really supportive of him as a person. And he started this band called Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. It's kind of a cover band. And he also, so this other girl, Raquel, she was dating this guy, James. They were engaged. Tom was the one that like paid $20,000 for this big engagement party that they were having, because like he was living with James and they were best friends. And so Raquel came into the fold, and she became really, really, really good friends with Ariana. Like, a lot of the other girls on Vanderpump Rules wasn't friends with Raquel. They were kind of a little bit mean to her because she was a little bit ditzy and like just like didn't really bring anything to the table, really. And so Ariana befriended her, and so they all would hang out all the time. And so Tom was playing at a show, and Ariana was in the audience watching her boyfriend of 10 years playing the show, and his cell phone fell. And I think it was a producer or whatever picks up the phone and just gives it to Ariana, his girlfriend of 10 years. And she, for whatever reason, felt the need to, let's just look through his phone. She looks through his phone and she sees a video of Raquel, their best friend that's always with them, self-pleasuring on a FaceTime to Tom Sandoval. And she freaks up, but she waits till after the show, freaks the fuck out. They break up, but it became the biggest news story of the year before. So I guess almost 2 years ago now.
This is like recent though. Like,
yeah. So like, I guess it was 2023. So beginning of March 2023, it was called Scandival, and it was across the entire, like, it was the biggest news show. Like, it was he in the New York Times. They were calling him the most hated man in America because of this, because she was a little bit beloved. A lot of people really liked Ariana, and they thought that he did her dirty. And then since then, she's had a huge glow up. So she now is hosting Love Island. She's on Chicago.
The Love Island host from like last season. That's her.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So is this his like comeback? Is he like trying to like get people to like him again?
He can, because he hasn't taken any responsibility. If you see the reunion was like crazy, because so what ended up happening, that we started watching Love Island, or sorry, Vanderpump Rules, and we were able to see the affair happening while, because like it was going on when they were filming, and so times where he didn't leave because her grandmother passed away, and he didn't leave to come to the house to comfort her because he was staying there to be with her, or she was like out of town at her funeral, and she would sleep in their bed. Like, all these times we're now seeing play out on the show that they were lying and saying that they were not like doing anything, like they were.
So okay, so like on the show, when you watch it play out, you just like, it's him not doing things, but then you're putting the pieces together, like, oh, that's why he didn't do this? Or like, do you actually see that like they're having an affair? Like, do you see them like
well, you see maybe a little bit, some looks, you can see some, like, it's just like you are watching people that are having an affair interact with each other and not let anybody else know.
But now that, because it's out and you're watching the show now you understand like a little bit more backstory.
So while the show was being filmed, they were having the affair.
Okay. No, because when you first said it, I was like, okay, hold on now. Because if it's on camera and all this sort of stuff, then obviously he knows that it's going to come out eventually. And, I wouldn't have believed it as much. But yeah, it's like it came out and now you're watching what was filmed and you're putting the pieces together like, oh shit, this was going on at the time.
And then the producers did like a re-edit after the show came out, because they're like, oh, wait. And so it was honestly, like, there was when they did the mid-season trailer cut, like I got goosebumps watching it. I was watching this like tragedy. Even thinking about it right now, the song that they played, like it was really intense.
Okay, I like to say that I'm a skimmer. Like I skim through headlines. I'll skim unless I'm like trying to really learn about something. I don't really dig in a whole lot. I saw recently that there was somebody from Vanderpump Rules who like got a DUI or something like that. Was that him? Or was that somebody else?
DUI.
Or got arrested for something. It was very
No,
recent.
it was James, so that guy that was his best friend that was dating, that was engaged to the girl that he had the affair with. He just was arrested for domestic violence with his new.
Right. Okay. Right. Because I did see a lot of things about like this guy from Vanderpump Rules was arrested and everybody was like it was a matter of time. Like I read
that was that was for domestic violence.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so I guess like we should have done a preview of these cast members.
Oh, see, so, you notice though, like, come on, we're busy.
Gabby and Nikki, they know who Tom Sandoval is, and so they don't even want to say hi to him.
Yeah.
And so I do like the solidarity of like the women supporting Ariana, which I think is great. So the game is afoot, and we see Alan coming in all fabulous on a horse.
I love Alan.
Let battle commence, he says. He sends his followers be gone, and one is left standing there. So they're all speculating as to who it is. And finally, it's revealed. It is Boston Rob. I think I agree with you that they should not have revealed who it was. I think that would have been fun.
It would have been more likely, I think, to happen. But like maybe, like you said, maybe they didn't want that to happen up front because whoever then gets banished, like, oh, but if they're going to come back anyway, I don't know. I think I would have liked to see it Hood stay on and then they shake hands. And then if somebody actually does take the risk, I think they're more likely to take the risk. And then it comes off and it's Boston Rob. Like, I think that would have been so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think they must have known that nobody was going to step forward. They wanted to have like the shock of Boston Rob not going in the game. Just to have this like new
letdown too. Yeah.
I love that Dylan was a Survivor fan. No, sorry, I already said that. So yes, he's offering people to one person to step forward to shake his hand. Nobody steps forward as we thought. I felt kind of bad for Boston Rob, of like, I would have probably stepped forward just because I'm a super fan,
I know I would have. Like, I really think that I would have done that. I don't know. Like, I was watching.
Okay, so if you were part of that specific group, who would you have exiled if you'd shaken his hand?
Like, it's so funny because when I'm watching it, I really think like spur of the moment, I probably would have sent literally Sam Agasheri or whatever. I would have sent him home just on principle. But at the same time, I don't think that's a great move because I do think he's somebody who would be really easy to manipulate and puppet in the game. I don't know why. I don't know him, but he gives off those vibes, right? So he's probably like, if you're going to shake and get Boston Rob in, you want to get a big target to go home. So I don't really know, like, if it was me in that scenario, I don't want to say Danielle or Brittany because I would be fangirling over them, but like, who else would I have known that is a big target? You know what I mean?
I would, and we saw that Carolyn was wrestling with taking out Tony potentially, which I mean, it shows that she's going to be playing the game. She made it to the final 3 of season 44 of Survivor, so she's definitely. Yeah, she's a fun player that I do like.
Yeah.
So you can play her. It's fine.
I was watching her and I was like, this girl is the energy. Like, she is chaotic and she's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Like, you could already tell that like when they were all talking, she's like, I think it was Tony was like, I don't want to be a traitor and everything. She's like, why are you here? Like, obviously you do. That's bullshit. And I was like, I'll watch you, like you.
Call him out.
Yeah, 0 F's given,
So Rob is basically talking to Alan, saying like, would you rather be exiled or do the exiling? I think he thought that someone would have stepped forward eventually, but the countdown happens. Nobody does. Mm-hmm. I really thought that Carolyn might have stepped forward and shaken the hand. I thought so, but
I think it would have been a good strategy for her. Like, she's obviously going to be wild and crazy. You know what I mean? Like, she obviously doesn't care about being the first person to do stuff. Like, you could see that she was battling with it, and it would have gotten somebody that she knows is a threat out while making an ally of somebody that she knows is very powerful. Like, I think it would have been a good move for her to do it.
I think, though, if she wants to be able to play kind of like, I don't know what's going on, I'm a little bit kooky, I'm kind of like, what's happening, I'm all over the place. I think that if she made such a calculated hit, that people would be like, I think a little bit of this is, she's playing it up a bit. And so I think it might have revealed too many cards, especially since nobody else was considering it, that like, I think it just would make her look more strategic than she probably wanted to look.
Right.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carolyn gives 0 Fs.
I wonder, could she have also then gone back and said, like, you know, it's like, it wasn't strategy. It's just, you know, I'm such a big super fan of Survivor, and like, I went on, but I'm in the later seasons. I never ever got to meet Boston Rob, and like, I'm a huge super fan of his. Like, so I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like I think it still would have been a good move.
I mean, it would have been fun, but yes, it just,
we shall never know.
We'll never, ever, ever, ever know.
Never know.
So he's super frustrated by the group of idiots.
Love it. I love him.
He's great. I think you'll enjoy him. Well, I think you'll enjoy it, Rob. So Bob the drag queen, I guess you don't watch Drag Race either?
I don't.
Okay. How did you like being introduced to Bob the drag queen?
Honestly, love Bob the drag queen. And I love that this is our first, I'm going to put it down, our first drag queen traitor. Like, tell me that wasn't perfection. I don't know how it took so long for
I thought it was going to be Peppermint the last time. Like, when I was doing a preseason kind of thought, I was like, ooh, that would be amazing. Yes. But I think that they knocked it out of the park with Bob.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think that Bob's already doing an amazing job. Like, not suspected whatsoever, and I can't wait to see it play out.
So everybody goes into the manor. Sandoval finds a secret room. Sneaky guy just finds sneaky secret rooms over there. Like,
Yowl on him was so like intense. I know I'm already jumping ahead. Sorry, go ahead, because I'm like thinking about when he comes out of the round table. But yeah. I don't know.
So Chanel didn't want to step forward because she's like, I have so many great outfits to wear and I haven't worn any of them yet, which I think is hilarious. Yeah. She does have great clothes. Like, her wardrobe is phenomenal.
Is this a housewife?
Yes, she's housewife of Dubai.
Okay.
Dubai.
Oh. Yeah, loved her. Already loved her. Like, her confessionals.
She's good. Yeah. She was the star, I'd say, of Real Housewives of Dubai. She's the only, her and Carolyn Stainbury, is that her? What's her? Anyways, Carolyn, are the two people that I know from that season. They did 2 seasons, and everybody else, I don't remember. So she's definitely a standout. Tony wants to be a faithful, and like you mentioned before, Carolyn calls him out and says she does not believe him. I think it's like, I think that this is what they wanted, is somebody that's so typically a traitor. They're making him a faithful so that he has to just like grovel and like, he's like, no, like,
yeah, I need the power in my hands, right? Like, I love it. I think you can tell, like, he's used to getting what he wants. Like, he has that kind of essence about him. So it's fun to see him as a faithful. And now he has to not just convince people that he's a faithful because he's a traitor. He has to like really almost double bluff him. Like, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
Like, it's going to be a more challenging faithful game for him to play because
absolutely,
which is great. Yeah. Yes, I don't like when they get rid of the fashion givers quickly as well. Dreadful. We'll never know what Peppermint was going to give. That's true. Mm-hmm. I was looking forward to seeing her.
That was really soon last season.
So Wells is definitely terrified by Tony and all the Survivor players. He's just
I love that he just like removed himself from the situation. He's like, these Survivor players are nuts. Like, he literally just walked away. And I just thought that was so funny.
I think it was the funny clip that happened when they're all kind of getting to know each other, sitting on the couch, and Gabby she's sitting beside Jeremy, and he's like, so what show were you on? And she's like, oh, I did The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And he's like, oh, how did that go? And she's like, well, I'm a lesbian now.
Died.
Which is
like
true.
died. It was so funny. It was like, you know what? I feel ya. If I could choose, I'd be over on that side with you, girl, because I get it.
But yeah, she definitely, she's funny. She's really funny. And she's definitely, I think she's good confessional so far.
Yeah.
I'm liking Gabby on this season.
The whole cast, honestly, so far, like, they're eating. Like, I haven't seen any confessional where somebody didn't like give it or be funny or just like have the right energy. So I'm really excited for this season.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, please, everybody, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. That would be awesome. It really helps keep us going, and it helps us potentially get people to do exit interviews.
Also, if they go ahead and do the notification button today, especially, turn on notifications, because we're going to be coming back a couple of times today as we watch the other episodes. So if you want to go grab a snack and everything while we're watching our show and then come back to the next podcast, that notification will light up so you'll know when to come back, right?
Because I kind of guessed the timing of it, but seeing where we are right now,
we are doing it as it comes here today. We're working on it.
We're gonna try.
We're gonna.
Right. So we learned that Ivar is the king's second cousin, and Gabby thinks that this is a red flag because that means he's super educated, that he's very media trained, that he's going to be very composed, and so he's a red flag. How did you find your introduction to Ivar?
I also thought he was a red flag. I think I would be very similar. Like, I think I like to believe I could get along with anybody and everyone. But at the same time, I don't know that he's somebody that I think I would be looking to send him home early. Like, same reason. Like, he seems like he's going to be a little bit more calculated and everything. Like, I don't know that he would have her back.
Yeah, I don't see them working together. They're not going to be in an alliance together. I don't see that at all.
Exactly.
So Adeline is having all the meetings. How long-ish was your meeting with Kedin? Like, how long was?
Oh my God, it was way too quick. So for us, it was at the top of like 5 stairs. So I had to go up like 5 steps, not 5 flights, 5 steps. And I was severely out of breath when I got to the top of them because I wasn't in the best shape for my season. But I do remember getting at the top. And as soon as I got to the top, they're like, okay, go on in. And they just rushed me through this big curtain to sit down. And Corinne's already there, like sat in her thing, waiting for me to tell her if I wanted to be a traitor or faithful. And I remember sitting down and her, I don't even remember how she asked me, but whatever way it started, as I'm answering her, I'm like, I don't have time to catch my breath. And when you're like kind of out of breath, but you're not trying to seem like you're out of breath. That was me. And before I had my breath caught, our interview was over. Like, it was.
Oh dear. What was everybody else doing at that time? Like, just socializing, or
we actually had like a marketing day. So we had a day that we got there and we all got to meet, and we all, like, while we were meeting and everything, we were still rolling. Like, they were recording that day, but they were recording us meeting and getting to know each other. And then they were taking us in for confessionals. While we were like mingling, like we would be eating lunch and they would take us in for like the photo shoot. So like we'd get like, how you see pictures of everybody with their cloaks and stuff on, all that happens before the game begins. So they got us all to meet. Then they did like our pictures, a couple of confessionals about like, how do you feel about being here? What did you think when you saw Kevin or Rick the Temp or whatever? And that was the same day that they did our interviews with Corinne. So everybody else, I think at the time that we did it, they had everybody out to lunch and they would take like so many people at a time. One would go to Corinne, the other one would go in and get pictures done. The other one would go to a confessional and so on. Right. So.
Dolores says, where did you stay? You guys stayed in the actual manor.
Yeah. So in Canada, we stay at the manor. In Scotland, I believe they have a hotel close to the castle. I don't think they actually stay at the castle.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm not on that show. So.
Pardon?
I don't know for sure. I'm not on that one, but at Traitors Canada, we stayed at the manor.
So Alan is having different meetings with people. That's when we learned that Brittany does not want to be the duck. She wants to shoot the duck. Mm-hmm. I thought that it was very pointed when Alan was like talking to Tom. Tom wants to be a faithful. He does not want to be a traitor. And he says that if I tapped you on the shoulder, would you feel betrayed? Doesn't feel so nice, does it?
Loved it.
I was like, whoa.
Like, I didn't understand that context at the time, but that's amazing. And I like Alan. Like, I think every season he gives more and more. Like
he's
he adds
leaning
more of
into
his
it.
own personality to the character, right? And I'm really enjoying that.
I love Dolores talking about her being a cop's daughter. Like, she's so New Jersey.
Yeah.
And like, she's like, I've always been the good girl as a cop's daughter, but maybe I want to be bad. And I was like, oh, I would love to see Dolores be bad.
Listen, it is like, that's the thing about Traitors, is that you're literally giving permission to go in and just be ruthless. Like, it's permission to do what you want, right?
Hi, Matthew. Yes, Sandoval is creepy as ever.
Yeah, he was given those vibes that whole episode. And I didn't know his backstory, but I was like, this guy's a little bit unhinged.
Mm-hmm. So we get to the round table. Everybody's sitting around. He gets everybody to put on their blindfolds. We're still kind of cutting back and forth with people's interviews with Alan about who wants to be a traitor. Pretty much everybody wants to be a traitor. It's kind of, you are in a power position, but I'm thinking that maybe I want to be like a good faithful. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I would love to figure out a strategy for the faithfuls to have more power. And so I think that would be kind of cool too.
You've decided officially.
No, I mean, I think if I had the opportunity, I'd probably say I want to be a traitor.
Yeah. It's hard because like, you want to be a traitor because you do have an advantage because you're not afraid of murder, right? As a traitor, you know that you're at least not going to get murdered overnight. You can't control who gets you banished. You can't control that at all. But you can control, who goes home, and you do have like way more power. But at the same time, it's so much harder in a sense that you have to be something that you're not. You have to pretend that you're not a traitor and that you don't know who the other traitors are. So everything in your brain, you're thinking, you're second guessing every little thing that you do. And that makes it really tricky. So like, to be able to play a more natural game, I believe faithful is the way to go, because you're just going to be yourself. To be a traitor is very tricky.
Agreed. So he's walking around, and there's a lot of great choices for him to choose. He chooses Danielle first, and I was like, whoa, she's going to betray Brittany, and it's going to be so, so sweet.
Yeah, sweet revenge.
I was also surprised by the Carolyn choice, because Carolyn was being like, oh, what do you want me to do? Want me to beg? And then you see Tony begging to be part of the Traitors group. And so I was surprised that, because she's just a little bit wild.
She's kooky. I loved it because they did this in Traitors Canada season 2. They picked Michael John, and he hadn't even seen the show, and he was their kooky traitor. And I think that maybe I was the kooky traitor for my season, but like, you need a bit of kook. You need somebody who's just like, just crazy and just wants to go and just like have fun and be completely careless. And because that adds to the fun of the show, it adds to the confusion of people. Like, so I loved her as a pick.
Yeah, she was a great pick. And then Bob the drag queen, as you mentioned before, was the third traitor pick. I thought this was an excellent group of people to choose. Strategic, entertaining, don't know what like their dynamic is going to be like. It's just like, one from Survivor, one from Big Brother, one from Drag Race. I was like, they did a good job this time. Like, not that they had it in the past, but like, it was unexpected but expected. You know what I mean? Like, Danielle, like, they're gonna make her a traitor, but it hit
it out of the park. Like, it really. I mean, to be fair, I don't think moving forward they can ever pick a Big Brother player again, because I think it's been every season so far that a Big Brother player has been a traitor. So I feel like, if anybody just, heads up, if you go on the show, just get the Big Brother people out first, because they've been traitors. But like, overall, 3 of those cast as traitors, I think, is just the perfect dynamic.
Perfect. So Caroline, as soon as they take off their mask, she drinks the water immediately. I'm like, Carolyn, Like, just you can't do anything like that. But then I saw a couple other people. I think Lord
Everybody
took a
seemed
sip of water.
very suspicious to me. Like everybody seemed like they didn't care about how they looked at the table. Like at my season, I touched my eyes because I had a mask on and my fake lashes needed to be adjusted. And that became this big sign that I was definitely a traitor because I touched my eye after, right? So like you see everybody moving and drinking water and like doing all this. I was like, you're doing too much. But when the cast is all the same like that, doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Carolyn looks so guilty. So guilty. So I was worried in the beginning there with Carolyn. So I was like, man, like if they start being like, who touched their face? Who drank some water? Who sighed? Like she could definitely be in the hot seat early on.
Did you see Tom later though? He was like, if I didn't watch you before, I would think that you were a traitor, but then I realized that you're just twitchy anyway.
Exactly. And I was like, she's lucky that she has that to kind of fall back on.
Yeah.
Because she did look sketch, like when she took off the blindfold.
So funny.
But Tom rips off his blindfold quick because he wants to eye down everyone to see there.
That was sketch. Like of all things, if I'm there and this guy's like just like not even staring at people or trying to read the room, he's like giving the creepiest, weirdest dagger face. Like I think he's gonna actually murder somebody. You know what I mean? Like I think he's a real life serial killer when I'm watching that. And if I'm there and there's somebody at the table doing that much, I would think that they were a traitor. Like you're doing too much, you know?
Yep. Well, and Chantele is saying to Tony, like, you're not a traitor, are you? Like, we need your help here. We need you to be like an investigator. And Tom now thinks Chrishell is a traitor. And then Tony also is pointing the finger at Chrishell. Now, I don't know if he actually thinks that Chrishell is a traitor.
I think he's saying like layering it on.
Yeah, I think he's just pointing the finger at her just to, you know, get the heat off of him.
Yeah. To be honest, I think Tony took that and was like, great. Somebody I don't really care about who, if they go home, they go home. I don't really have a relationship or whatever with this person. So, you know, if they're a traitor, great. We'll vote them out and they're gone. If they're not, it's still somebody that I can focus on to like prove that I'm a faithful.
So Jeremy thinks that Carolyn would never be a traitor. Never be a traitor. Which is great because it's like good if you have people that would say like, no, I know her, she would never, like that's great position for Carolyn.
There was people like that in my season that I remember before we even did the roundtable for picks. I remember talking to people and being like, you're not going to get picked. Like there were literally people that I had in my brain that I was like, not going to be a traitor, not going to be a traitor. Like there were before the roundtable picked. So like, I feel like they probably did the same thing in this. Like there's going to be people that you're talking to that they're like, there's no way in hell that they would make this person a traitor. And maybe that's the way that they're trying to do the casting now so that it's not predictable. It makes the game harder.
It definitely makes it harder. Puya, I don't know who was doing, he was doing some of like the cast assessment coverage. And I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was saying that maybe what they're going to need to do is actually make it random. Like actually
like roll a dice.
Like, you know,
essentially
who knows who it's going to be. So people can't game it and be like, oh, let's just get out all the Big Brother people because they're likely going to be traitors. So, or Survivor or what, or Housewives, you know? So that, I think that could be something.
And same thing with like the genders, you know, like, because so far, I won't spoil anything, but I think there's only been one season that didn't have like both genders. You know what I'm saying? So like, if they start doing that where they like have all girls or all males like in the turret, then you can't game it that way either. You can't be like, oh, we got out 2 women, so let's go for a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the more seasons that we have and the more they mix it up, the harder it does actually make the game that when you're in it.
Well, as a traitor.
Yeah, but listen, my brain only goes to traitor. My brain has never been a faithful in this sense. You know, in my real life, yes, I'm very faithful. I'm very sweet. I'm very honest and kind. But in these games, my brain just goes to, well, maybe it just in this game, it just goes to traitor because that's the
perspective that you know the game from. So yeah, exactly. I understand that. And I do both sides because I have no idea what other side would actually be like.
Yep.
So
Yes.
Tom did think that Carolyn would have been a traitor if he wasn't she wasn't twitchy already. But he also says that he feels good about Danielle. And I was like, look at you talking to two traitors, and you, Mr. Like, ooh, watching everybody. You couldn't tell that you were sitting amongst two traitors right there.
I know. I think he's probably going to have a really fun exit on the show. Like, I think production is enjoying making him wrong.
Yeah, like he's like Mr. Magoo, like goof. So Dylan tells Chriselle and Nikki, and Danielle is actually there as well, what Tom has said. So with Chriselle being his number one suspect, that she's 100% a traitor. I'm just like, oh my god, like, yeah, I know. There's no 100%.
But then didn't she said something about like she's friends with. So okay, again, I didn't know the backstory when I was watching it, but she did say like, oh, he's friends. He knows I'm friends with Ariana or whatever. And then because I watched it where I focused on it, and then I watched it while I was getting ready for work. And the second time when I was watching it, I realized that when he gets out, he's like, oh, who was that one that was over there? And then I was like, okay, you obviously knew who she was. There's nobody telling me that he didn't know who she was if she's friends with his ex. And he's like, oh, who was that? Like, it's almost like he was trying to play it off like he didn't know who she was. And now he's saying that she's a traitor because he's just trying to get her out. I don't think he actually thinks she's a traitor. I think he just wants her gone.
I think Chriselle was on the same season of Dancing with the Stars as Ariana. So let me just double check right now.
And you know he's creeping. Like, you know he's going to still be creeping his ex. Like, whatever. He knows who.
Well, her business is all over the place. Like, you know, it's not like she's yeah. I mean, they live in LA. They're both on, I don't know if they're the same season. Hold on. Who else was on this season of Dancing with the Stars? Do you guys know in the chat if they were on the same season? I can't remember. So Dylan is super excited about the mission. He wants to be somebody that the traitors want to keep in the game because he's going to be very useful with, building the pod and bringing some money together. And this mission I thought it was a great mission.
It was a fun mission.
They had to row Viking vessels and go to pontoons to collect fuel and cash. So they're going to be chests of gold on pontoons as well as fuel. And anybody that's going to gets back to the Ring of Fire, they're going to light the Ring of Fire with the fuel. Whoever's on the inside of it will receive a shield. And they'll be protected from being murdered at night. They have 75 minutes to do this challenge. And I thought it was like Bob drag queen directing it, being like, hey, heave, oh, and I was like, wow, like he's really getting everybody together. Like I thought he took a good position there to like get people working together. But they get to the first pontoon, they have to sacrifice 2 players to get on the pontoon to leave them behind, so they will not have the opportunity to get the shield. What did you think about this twist?
So this is one of those twists where it's like, it could be read a whole bunch of ways, right? Like if you jump on the platform, now you're not afraid of being murdered, so you must be a traitor. Or if you jump on or if you stay in the boat, well, you must be a traitor because you don't want attention on you for being like, you want to pretend like you're still afraid of being murdered. So like, really, it's a catch-22 regardless. I do think jumping on the platform, I wouldn't have done it, but I do think that jumping on the platform is a good way moving forward to have a smaller group of people to look for traitors in. Because I do feel like regardless, one traitor is going to jump on that platform. So I feel like it would be a really good way for the faithful, say next day, see who's murdered. That's one person down. And then try to use the person who was murdered as a clue and look at the rest of the people who did sacrifice themselves and stay on the platform and see if you can connect the dots somewhere to find a traitor in there. So I think that like, I wouldn't have got on there regardless of traitor or faithful, but I think that if I was a faithful, that is how I would try to game it.
Yeah, I would not be getting on that pontoon, but
you never want to be a smaller group on traitors. Like you don't want to be a part of a smaller group on traitors regardless. Like whether it's a mission or, getting a shield, not getting a shield, you just don't want to be a part of a small group because small groups can get picked off. We've seen it in other seasons where they're like, oh, well, it must be someone from team this. And then they just start picking off people from that team. Right. So it's tricky.
I don't know if that will happen.
Oh, they're not going to do that.
Just because I think that the traitors will be able to kind of influence the group in a way that.
And there were 2 traitors there who did it. So like, I don't think that they're going to be found out that way, but like, I don't think it's a good idea for a traitor to jump on there either way.
So Carolyn definitely doesn't want to jump on. She wants to be everybody to believe that she's a faithful. She's a faithful. She needs to get this shield. And they're basically want to sacrifice 2 people. So Robin and Chanel sacrifice themselves at the next pontoon. Dorinda and Dolores sacrifice themselves. So these are housewives. They don't really know strategy because we see Dolores figuring it out, being like, "Oh,
so
wait,
funny.
they're gonna think that we're traitors because that we think that we're safe."
There's the one who said, "I get paid for being pretty," and then she's like, "Brain activate." It was her. That racked me up. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna like this girl."
Danielle thinks that people jumping off the boat is suspicious. So Dolores is suspicious to her. And I agree. It definitely is suspicious. And then we get to the next pontoon, and Bob Drag Queen is pissed. He's like, why are only the women sacrificing themselves? Why aren't the guys doing it? Like, it should be a little bit more balance here.
He played it up really well. Like, I don't think it was a bad move for him to do that. No, he said he really did care about it. Like, that's why he was saying it. But I think that almost like solidified him there for this episode as a faithful. Like, he jumped on that and there was no suspicion on him.
Yeah, because he just was like, like I'm a male, like I want to support the women on this, and like I want women to be able to be protected here. Like, which guy is going to be standing here with me? And Danielle sacrificed herself. He's like, I don't want another woman to sacrifice themselves.
She was good too, though. She played it well.
Yeah, because she just wants them to be able. Because if they don't pass the mission, they get no money built to the pod. So yeah, you kind of have to eventually say, okay, fine, I'm doing it for the team, but like make sure that you get all the money, guys.
Yeah.
Because she wants to feel like
too. If there's already a couple of people who did sacrifice themselves, you in the team mentality, you want to keep it going so that there's a bigger pool of people to choose from. But you don't want to be that person.
Yay. So Alan notices Bob and Danielle pretending to be noble as they sit on the pontoon. I thought that was hilarious. I love that he called it out. Because they're both
I would like to be production and like listen in the whole time they were there, pretending both to be faithful, not knowing the other was a traitor. Like, tell me that there's some uncut footage of that somewhere, upload it to the internet, and let me just watch that whole conversation. Like, I bet that was so much fun.
Yeah, sorry, Emily, I don't have a mic going, so you're just getting whatever is happening with my iPad because I'm in Mexico. So, sorry, this season started after I had already planned a trip, so I couldn't work around it.
Next week we'll be louder.
Yes, I'll be back. I'll be home with a mic for sure. So again, like none of the men want to be on the pontoon, but Bob and Sam both decide to take it for the team. They volunteer here. So then now they have a lot of people still on the boat, and they have one more like $20,000 chest to go and pick up. They picked up one so far, and nobody. Like Tony's like, well, let's decide who's sacrificing themselves first before we start going over there in case we don't come back with the money. And nobody wanted to sacrifice themselves, male or female. We see Gabby getting upset because she's definitely a very female forward, female centric person. She's always like, he's do it for the ladies. Like, she's definitely a supportive. I don't know if she's like a feminist, but like feminist leaning, we'll say. Right. And she's kind of getting irritated by it's been pretty, hetero, a little bit misogynistic, a little bit that like, the men are going to do the rowing and the women can go sit on the dock.
And like they're literally like Tony shouldn't have even said anything. Like I think that was such a bad move for him. He literally stands up as this man, and it had already been talking about everybody's already going above and like saying like, guys, it's all the women that are volunteering. More men need to volunteer. Tony should have just shut up because he stood up and started saying that as a man. Like, dude, fucking stand up for it. You go do it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought that was a really bad move for him.
Now he should maybe take a little bit of solace in knowing that because everybody thinks that he is a traitor, chances are he's not getting murdered, because it's better to have more people that are sus in the game. So maybe he should have thrown a bit of a tantrum and just been like, okay, well, I'll sit out, guys, to make him look more faithful.
I would have been a good move for him.
He is somebody that needs to look more selfless, right?
Absolutely. And he didn't at all in that situation. Like, I thought that it wasn't a great move for him.
So they decide against getting the last thing of $20,000, which is, I think, was collectively a bad move for all of those faithful, or all those players, just because, you know, they have people that were like, okay, we're going to sacrifice yourselves because we're going to try to get all the money here. And then you guys decide not to sacrifice yourselves so you can all get a shield.
Like that. I would have been pissed too.
Pissed.
Pissed. Like, it wasn't a good idea. And Emily, I agree with Emily. She said it should have been one man and one woman. Absolutely. Every boat, they should have been like, okay, guys.
There are more women in the game.
Okay. Well, then maybe
I believe.
Maybe never mind. Sorry, Emily.
So maybe I think 2 extra women in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So,
but you know what I mean? Like, even so, like, just try to make it as fair as possible. The fact that they just kept loading up on women, and then they called it out, and then there were still, like, there was only 2 guys that actually stood up and said, yeah, you know what, you're
and
right.
Bob,
yeah, sorry, three. But Bob was the one who started the call out, so I wasn't really thinking about him there.
Absolutely. So they are all saying heave ho as they're inside the circle of fire. People that save themselves are Ivar, Dylan, Jeremy, Tony, Carolyn, Sierra, Nikki, Wells, Tom, Brittany, Chriselle, and Gabby. All of them are shielded for the night for the murder. They get back to the manor first. So everybody's still stuck on their pontoons. They go back to the manor first. They start eating. And they do not even wait for the people that sacrifice themselves. So they got the shield. They didn't get the extra 20 grand. And they are eating all the food that is back at the manor.
Yeah.
And when the sacrificed ones come back, they are pissed, and rightfully so.
They're cold. They're hungry. The food's cold. Everybody, you know,
they're over
tonight. Like, that sucks. That's a shit way to start your first day on the show, you know?
Yeah. They were all really happy, though, that Bob the drag queen stood up for them. All the women kind of were gathering together. But the winner, the shielded, they all just ate the food, and they weren't even really thinking about the other people. But of course, when the other group comes in, they're annoyed, and Danielle extra pissed and storms off. And
she's so funny. She's like, I just need a minute.
A little bit over the top.
She was putting it on, but she was full on, was like, you know what? Like, I just need a minute. Like, just leave me alone. I'm just going to have a minute, and then, like, I'll be back. And I love that. I thought that was a great way to handle it. Like, she's mad. She's like, I'm up for murder. You ate your food. Like, nobody waited for us. And then you didn't even win. Like, I'm going to be pissed.
And then honestly, like, Dreadful here is saying the odds of them being murdered is way higher. Just for the fact that, you know, there's less people in the group.
Exactly.
So
now, I will say, from the people who got back first and, like, ate, like, from the people who were on the, like, I can't remember what they're called, platforms. The people who are on the platforms, I understand coming back and being pissed off. They had every right to be. But the people who, like, came back first and ate the food, from somebody who was on the show, I don't see anything wrong with that, because I feel like chances are there was probably a big window between when they got back and when the next people got back. So they were probably like, we don't even know when we're going to see these people again. Maybe they're gone for the full night and we're not going to know who got murdered until, like, after breakfast, or, you know what I mean? So I understand them going ahead.
Well, this, like, for me, though, I think, I don't know how I would actually act, but I'm thinking, if I'm, like, right now, that I would be probably ask production, be like, hey, will there be new food for the other people?
Yeah.
Like, and I'd be like, maybe we should leave set, like, you know what I mean? Like, you always set aside food for people that are not there.
I wouldn't have ate at all, but, like, I would have ate without them. 100%. Right. They could be somewhere else eating. Like, and the thing is too, like, with us, it was game time was only when the cameras were rolling. If the cameras were not rolling, it wasn't game time. And we would never do supper on camera. We would always have supper off camera. We weren't allowed to.
Right.
And I know that's different than the States, but, like, maybe when they got back, supper was laid out and maybe the cameraman got to eat too. Like maybe there was a break for everybody. So they all got supper and then maybe the camera crew had to come back and start filming as the new people came back. So like behind the scenes, I'd say they probably had every right to eat it, but like coming back to that, it's gotta be pretty shitty.
Terribly shitty. And I mean, production knew that people would be upset.
Oh yeah, well, they know what they're doing. Good
especially TV. Like the Jersey housewives and like New York, like they're all about family and like eating together and respect, and it's just all around disrespectful, like the way that they kind of treated them. Even though I get it, like you said, but
not a great first day overall for a lot of them.
So Dorinda was pissed and like, ooh, we're starting to get Dorinda like worked up. She can go off. So Ivar now thinks that she's a traitor because she's so upset and her upsetness is over the top. And I'm like, do you not know Dorinda? She's not even that upset yet. Like she gets insane.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that Ivar is going to last long in the show.
Probably.
I'm not getting those vibes. And I mean, maybe I'm not getting those vibes because we haven't seen him a whole lot, like with production and confessionals and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be a good gamer.
So the clock strikes 12. They all go to their rooms. We see all the vignettes of the sacrifice. So I guess you didn't get to film one of those because unless you filmed them before you knew you're a traitor.
Which
like
what
the vignettes of like. So how all the people that are about to be that are up for murder?
No,
they
so
show
Canada
them, like,
doesn't do that. Canada doesn't do it at all, which is so funny because I remember when I was going, thinking like, am I gonna have to like pretend to get in bed and read a book? Or am I gonna like, are they gonna put me in like a bubble bath? Am I just gonna have to like pretend to like blow bubbles at the camera or something stupid? Like I remember specifically thinking about that on my way to Traitors, being like, are we gonna do this B-roll thing? But they never filmed it. And I don't think they did it for season 2 of Canada either. UK does it like crazy. UK does their
I love it. It's just so funny, like seeing them draw the bath and like brushing the hair.
Like nobody's there, and I'm like, you're in your pajamas. Like you brought those pajamas for camera. Like you probably sleeping in an old t-shirt. Like what are you doing? You know? So good.
So I loved seeing the Traitors come out to do their oath. And when Bob the drag queen comes out, he does like a little pose, and then he goes over and talks to Alan. It was amazing getting their cloaks and just seeing them taking the oath. I was just like,
I will say, to this day, getting my cloak and getting sworn in and being by the fire was probably one of my favorite memories to date. Like it's top 5. Top 5. It was just such a crazy experience. And like, even if you do get to do the show, your chances of being a traitor are super slim, and your chances of being an original traitor are even like slimmer. So like, I do remember that exact moment of mine. And I remember being there and being like, savor this. You might be gone home tomorrow and all close, but like savor this moment because like, this is just incredible. It was very surreal. Right. So every time I watch those scenes, I flash back and I'm like, good for you guys. Like, I just get so excited for people, you know?
I also like lulled when Danielle and Bob are in the turret. They remove their cloaks and they're just so excited. They're screaming.
Yeah. They loved it.
Carolyn knocks on the door and she comes in, cloak is down, takes off their clothes. Bob's just like, nope, nobody knows it's you. You're doing a very good job.
Unreal. Like it was so I think this is literally the only time we've ever seen 3 traitors see each other and nobody was suspected. Yeah. I don't know if that's happened before.
So good. It was. I love that moment.
I will say,
doesn't think anybody's ever going to suspect Carolyn. Go ahead.
Carolyn would have absolutely been on my radar after, though, as someone to be like, she needs a little bit of heat. Because if nobody will ever suspect her, that's when you need to kind of like keep that in the background and be like, okay, let's work together for now. But like, you need heat on the other traitors so that you can get to the end, right? So that was my first thought, was like, I wonder either of these guys going to throw her under the bus a little bit.
So Thomas wants to know if we think there'll be a civilian season in the U.S.
I don't think
we have to get another reality show first.
I think so.
What I find with the U.S. and Canadian casting is that they're no longer like willing to trust that they are doing a good casting, like that they're going to create these stars, that these people that are going to be dynamic and entertaining. So they kind of go to the well of wanting to see people that have been on our screens before, just because they're going to be guaranteed views.
Yeah.
So I would say that,
like, even so for the US, the first season they did half and half, and then they went straight for all the reality people. I don't see them going backwards because this show keeps getting more successful. And with Traitors Canada, they still do half and half. It's probably just because the pool is a lot smaller here. But the other side of it with Traitors Canada is that even though they do half and half, the civilian people are still like they still have to audition. There's more people that audition than make the show, but they're all called. Like it's not an open audition. You can't just send an email and send your tape somewhere. You have to get a phone call from production or casting to even be able to audition for the show. So they have specific people that they still have in mind for these shows.
Yeah, they're civilians are people that are still a little bit well known in their own in their right. So
like for the most part, like big followings, or like in my case, I think it was just from auditioning for other shows. Like you have to kind of, I think that with Canada, you have to kind of show them that you want it and what you have to bring, and they need to be able to find old footage of that or proof of that or something somewhere for them to make that decision, right? So
yes, I've been watching the UK one. I think I'm a couple episodes behind.
I'm 2 episodes behind.
But yes, I have been. I might do solo recaps. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. All right, so
Alan, I can jump on from time to time. I'm sorry, I should just throw that out there. I can't commit to the UK because like I will stretch myself super thin with regards to like work and home life and podcasting here. But feel free to message me from time to time, see if I'm caught up and if I'm free, because I can jump on.
We'll see. I'm not sure if I'll end up doing it because it's too much to catch up on now, but I have taken notes, so we'll see what happens. So we cut to Alan being outside, and his followers bring in Boston Rob, the exiled player, and he tells them that you are going to be entering as a traitor. So,
well, like, were you surprised?
No,
like you knew. I'm like thrilled, but not.
Well, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, am I going to be talking to Boston Rob about the season that he didn't get onto the show? I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense.
No, we're going to be talking to him about.
When I saw him again, I assumed that he's going to be brought into the game. And I do love that he's being brought into as a traitor. When he enters, the other traitors are not going to know that he's going to be a traitor until he's safe from the round table and he joins them up in the turret.
Like, so tell me he's not getting the best spot, because like you and I have talked often about the best role in the game is to be a faithful first and then picked as a traitor after. I feel like right now he's coming in with the absolute best position in the game because people are not playing with him from day one knowing his personality. He's coming in once the game has already started and he's already a traitor. So like they didn't get to see him before the picks were done.
Right.
I think that's phenomenal. I think that he's in the absolute like that.
Well, and he gets to play like you guys didn't want me in the game. Like I'm here, I'm playing as a faithful.
Such a good spot. Like he's set up. If he doesn't win this game, I'm gonna be like, what's the big deal with Boston Rob? Why does everybody care about Boston Rob?
Well, I mean, the big deal is that he is a huge name. He's been on Survivor 4 times, once a 5th time as a coach. He almost won the Amazing Race. Like he almost won
right now.
Pardon?
He needs to prove it to me right now. I'm not accepting it. That's it. He needs a win.
I would be trying to get him out. I mean, not me, but like anybody else would be trying to get him out of the game. So
100%.
His reputation precedes him for sure. But I actually have faith in him because he has a knack for gaining people to follow him. Like that was his strategy on Redemption Island, the season that he won. He had people that would follow people around and keep tabs on them. Like he plays like a mob boss. And so
to be honest, if I was on a show with him, because I didn't know him from Survivor. I saw him like in Deal or No Deal Island. But on that, I was like, this guy's deadly. Like I would absolutely, if I met him on the show, I would probably still be like a follower. Like I'd probably be like, oh my God, Boston Rob, you're so fun. You're so cool. Like I like him. He's got that charismatic pull you in kind of personality.
100%. Now, so him coming back into the game, it's going to be payback for the people that didn't want him to be in the game. But there's going to be 2 other players joining him, or is it 3? I wrote down 3, but I thought it was 2.
I think it's 3 total. I think there were 3 cages, and that might be where the 3 came from. But yeah, there's 2 others joining. Now, I was spoiled. Like, I know the chat's talking about it. I already saw. Don't read it. Don't read the chat. Ignore the chat. I'm not going to say. Stop reading.
I've already saw, but okay.
That happened to me. I was scrolling Instagram and I was like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you online right now? Because I got spoiled for who's coming back as well. But
well, anyways, I am excited to see. Okay, stop, guys. I have not seen the episode, so I don't know who's in the cages. And so, anyways, okay, we're gonna get off this now so I can go watch the episode because I don't want to see.
I didn't see the other person. I just thought
you're so close. Stop. I didn't know. Okay, anyways. Okay, let's go. Okay, bye. We're gonna go watch the other episodes.
We'll be back in an hour.
We'll be back in an hour to see what happens next. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and we'll be back in about an hour to talk about episode 2, where we can freely talk about who was in the other 2 cages, who I had absolutely no idea about.
I don't really know. They're probably just lying to us. They're lying to us.
Speculate now.
It's still going.
Anyways, okay. See you guys. And we'll talk to you
soon. Tell your friends.
Bye.